Alrighty, y'all. G'day, how you going? We're taking a look at new cars for sale in Australia. Now, it's been a while since we did this. We've looked at pretty much used cars before, and that's been hella fascinating. Probably due for one of those episodes coming up as well. But we're going to be probably concentrating on specifically new cars. So we're going to be looking at this site here, maybe another site if this doesn't give us good results. Carsales.au, and we're basically going to be taking a look at the landscape of, what kind of cars are for sale, see if we can get some data on like what's popular and stuff, see what brands there are, and most of all, see like the prices and stuff. All these prices should be obviously in Australian dollars. I might convert some of these so I have an idea for myself to US dollars, and I think this should be pretty fun, honestly. Let me preface this by saying I have seen over the years on this channel that Australia, hands down, I'd say Australia and New Zealand probably, has the most, if not one of the most fascinating car markets there is, right? Tons of different brands and vehicles that we don't even close get here in the US. Tons of vehicles I don't even recognize, and that's kind of the point. We're going to take a look at this, and prepare for me to be kind of mind blown. So something you might see every day, but to me, our car market here is very weird, and there's some reasons for that I will probably go into in some videos coming up in the future. Yeah, let's just hop into this. So let's go do one of these maybe. So this is the first page. I just go to new car sales, or new cars rather, here on carsales.au, and I'm not sure what kind of order these are in. Prices based on, I wonder what that means, because we don't have a max price, but that's okay. So we're just going to take a look at these, and then we'll get into some more specific filters perhaps in a little bit. But yeah, starting out, literally this whole first row, I only know one car. This Hyundai Tucson, right? We do have these in the US market. But other than that, we don't get any of these cars, let alone any of these brands anymore. We used to have Suzuki cars here. I believe they pulled out around 10 years ago for whatever reason. Same with Isuzu. We still have Isuzu heavy machinery here and some commercial trucks as well, but we can't buy any passenger vehicles from them anymore. Again, we used to be able to. Of course, Suzuki motorcycles are popular, but that's a different story. So yeah, this MUX, I kind of like that. I mean, I've always wanted one of the older Isuzu SUVs we did have here in the US. I always thought they were actually kind of cool. And you can see the different years there. Now, obviously, they're all in the same gen. Not much changes there. And you can see the variants. They have an LST, must be the top dog, because look at how expensive this goes, up to 77 grand. Whereas you can get an LSM that clearly is more of a base model. The one I would get, I'm a base model type of guy, for as low as 51,000. So quite a variance there, but that seems to be all vehicles nowadays. And naturally, 2024 being the most expensive, as that's the newest model year. But yeah, this thing's actually kind of cool. I don't really like it as much as the older ones, but that's kind of par for the course for any brand. Has nothing to do with them. A lot of newer cars are just not as good as like the old ones, in my opinion, when it comes to styling and stuff. But this is cool, and I'm gonna imagine, let's just click on this. I'm gonna imagine this is a diesel, and sure enough, it is. Sure enough, it is. I will say there's no manual transmission option, it looks like. So that's kind of a shame, but unfortunately, automatics are taking over, well, have taken over the US, and I'm sure, might be creeping in a little more in different continents as well, in different countries. By the way, this will probably be a longer video, really chill, relaxed video. So yeah, just sit back, grab a drink or a snack or something and enjoy, because I'm probably gonna get lost on this site for a long time. I just find this kind of stuff fascinating. And this thing does come in rear-wheel drive by default, and of course with an optional all-wheel drive. I like that it's rear-wheel drive based though, right? That tells me it's still more of a tough kind of truck-based SUV, at least in my head, being rear-wheel drive based, because a lot of these SUVs are really crossovers. I think that's what they call them nowadays a lot, and they're not even real kind of tough like, right? They're actually car-based or minivan based, and so a lot of them are front-wheel drive, whereas this is rear-wheel drive. I actually kind of like that. It's a small detail that, well, I don't know, that I like and I favor. Pretty cool interior. I mean, honestly, most interiors nowadays, I feel like, stating the obvious, they kind of look the same on a lot of cars. They don't look radically different, but yeah, it looks up to snuff. They look a little better, I'll say, in some of these real pictures than maybe this like stock photo style, right? This real one down here actually looks kind of sharp. So anyone drive one of these Isuzu MUX? Kind of a weird name, the Mux. I know that's probably not what they call it, but yeah, interesting vehicle. Up first, gotta let me know if you have one. So yeah, going back to this page, Suzuki Swift, like I said, that's a hilarious little car. Good car for you know, fuel mileage, I'm sure, and if you live in like a kind of a crowded city environment. Same with this MG3. I know nothing about MG at all. They're on my list to learn about, and actually one of my episodes about learning about different car companies and stuff, I believe they're obviously very common in Europe as well, and clearly in Australia they have a presence, and I find that interesting as, again, we do not have MGs here. Then we have the Hyundai Kona. This thing is interesting looking. I'm not sure if I like it or hate it. It's kind of weird. We do have this as well. I believe this is like a small SUV. It looks almost smaller than the Tucson. And I want to say it's like an electric car, right? Then we have the Mitsubishi Pajero. That thing is awesome. And another one we do not get here. What a shame. Kia Sorento, Tiguan. I'll kind of go through the ones we don't have rather than say like we have this and don't have that. I want to point out something absolutely freaking mind-blowing is that, for one, the Chevrolet Silverado, very common here, doesn't even show the price. I also want to point out that we have the Ram 1500, again, very popular here. And for one, it says a Ute, which you would expect. So this is proof that this is a real Aussie site and not an American site, because this would, of course, say truck or pickup here. But of course, we've been through this before, and it still blows my mind to this day. We click on this, look at the price we are dealing with here, right? This is a Ram 1500 Classic, by the way. I think it's cool that they still do this. So this is literally what they call a 4th gen Ram. And that kind of newer Ram right here, you can see the difference in body styles, right? This one is the 5th gen Ram. So I think it's cool how they actually show, or not show rather, but they still offer both gens, because, you know, this older truck is quite old at this point, but it was pretty good, and a lot of people still like the styling on this, and these can be had at a lower price. So it's kind of cool they still offer like a classic version. And these are real Australian Rams, just considering they have Aussie plates in a picture. So that's pretty weird for me to see. I think it's kind of cool. You can see the ridiculous prices here. You know, the Bighorn is towards the bottom. Laramie Sport, Limited, Ram Box. Okay, that's different. I actually haven't looked at their trim, so I wouldn't even know if these are the same or slightly different than the American trims. But of course, you have the TRX Top Dog. These are expensive here due to popularity. These go for usually $100,000 US, and these are going for anywhere from $234,000 to $245,000. Now, granted, this is a race truck, right? This is even crazier than the normal F-150 Raptor, right? We're talking a Hellcat supercharged Hemi in here, totally beefed up everything. It's a showstopper, right? You're gonna notice this truck. It's a beast. But that money is absolutely crazy. But let's see how expensive it really is. So $245. Let's do $245. Let's just do that. It's about $165. Let's round up the $7 there. So $166,000 US. You know what? It's actually not as terrible as I thought when you do the conversion there. I mean, trust me, it's bad. If you're watching this in Australia and you think that's bad, I don't blame you. That's way too expensive. But considering it's around 100 up to like $110,000 US here, granted, it's got a big markup being in Australia, but it's not as big as I thought. But yeah, regardless, if you afford this in the US or Australia, more power to you. I could never pay $100,000+ for a truck. I just don't have it in me. Then we have the D-Max. That thing is cool. I keep seeing this brand. I think I've seen this maybe in another Australian video. I know nothing about them. This GWM. Really weird brand. I want to say they're Chinese. I believe someone told me. Or Korean. I'm not sure. We definitely do not have them in the US. I'm kind of liking this, though. I've never seen this one on another Australian video. This is a Tank 300. Now, naturally, I do like and kind of gravitate towards these kind of old school looking, boxy, simplistic SUVs or trucks, right? Or Utes, right? But this is an SUV. It's giving off that vibe, right? Like it's kind of like a not flashy or expensive, but rather just kind of rugged and meant to just be a simple and tough SUV. It's giving off that vibe, right? Kind of square, kind of simple. I kind of like this. I know nothing about it. It could be a piece of crap. I'm not really sure, but it doesn't look bad, right? It looks simple, and I actually kind of like that, right? It's not trying to be some fancy thing. They have a hybrid, an ultra, and a lux. Let's see what this thing's all about. It's reasonably priced too. I mean, vehicles are a little too expensive for my taste nowadays. I think that's just kind of what we have to deal with. That's like everywhere, right? But 46K, let's round up 47 for this base model. Let's see what that is. Yeah, that's just about 32,000 US dollars. It's honestly a steal, because getting a smaller SUV or smaller truck almost guarantees you over $40,000 US here. So this is actually a very reasonably priced car. I wonder how these are, right? You can give me your experience or your opinion on these down below. I would appreciate it, as I know absolutely nothing about them. Let's see, they do have a 2-liter engine, turbo 4. I'm assuming it's a petrol engine then, not a diesel. Fortunately, I can't remember off the top of my head these power numbers, so I'm not really sure if that's good numbers or not. But we have an 8-speed automatic. I'm surprised it's not a manual. But then again, they're getting harder to find, even in Australia, I suppose. At least you guys do use the same tire descriptions as us. So you have 17x8 for the wheels, and then of course the tire size. Seems like these are the same measurements we use as well. So 265, 65, R17s. So yeah, it's pretty standard. That's an interesting vehicle. I wonder how these are, right? Some vehicles seem intriguing, but they're actually not that great, right? Or maybe this thing is kind of a low-key awesome vehicle for the money. It's just not as flashy like some other more famous offerings, like like a Range Rover or something. Look at the price on that. Oh geez. I also love this Triton. I think that's really cool. Let's see what the next page has. I'll go a little faster with these. I love these as well. I've pointed it out before. These Mazda BT50s. Look, I think these are cool. I don't know why I like these. I like the look of them. And we don't have any Mazda Utes or trucks here at all. I love these cab chassis D-Max Utes. I think that's hella cool. Then we have SsangYong. That's definitely not something we have here either. Very interesting to see. Another MG. Kind of like these. They're kind of cool. Of course, you have the Ford Ranger Raptor. We don't have that for some reason. And they even sell HD heavy-duty Silverados, which I'm assuming these are even more expensive than the half tons, as they naturally should be. So yeah, again, got to be used for pretty much strictly for business, because I don't think many people are going to want to daily drive this. Although there are crazy people that do here in the US, that's for sure. Look at this, another one I don't recognize. You guys do have the Amarok. That's cool. We don't have that, but Mexico does. I've seen them here. What's this? A Cherry Tiggo. What a name is that? Or Sherry. Is it Sherry or Cherry? Or Cheery? Not Cheery, right? Yeah, that's an odd one. Kind of looks like the other brand. It's kind of confusing, isn't it? Like the logo and everything. Yeah, nothing special. One of these smaller SUVs that just, like I said, they all kind of look like the same thing nowadays in that segment. You have Eurovans. Not surprised to see that. Even we have Eurovans all over the US now. Although they're not these brands. They're usually rebranded as something weird. But yeah, you guys have a lot of those. That's cool. Look at even a bigger truck from GWM. Wow. Or a Ute, I'm sorry, bigger Ute. Look at the Lamborghini. Inquire for price. That's never good. That's how you know they're going to be expensive. The Ford Everest, I just learned about that on like an Australia TikTok episode we did a few months ago, and boy, is that kind of a cool SUV. Another one we don't have here. We have the Ford Expedition. Yeah, slightly different. And of course, the one below that would be the Ford Explorer here in the US, which of course they have civilian models. They also use them as fleet models and of course police vehicles. I think they look awesome, but again, way different than this. So yeah, the Ford Everest, very interesting. Another one we don't have here in the US. Nissan Navara, that one I've seen on so many off-roading videos. I think that's super cool. Of course, the Patrol as well. The Peugeot 308 or 3008, I'm sorry. I've never even seen this in European videos. Look at that. I can't believe that even they are in Australia. Australia just has everything. I mean it. You guys have it all when it comes to all these different brands from different continents, man. You really got it all. It's such a cool car market. You know, it's one of those funny things, even though they have nothing to do with each other. In my head, it does, right? It's funny. It's like you guys have way less people than we do, right? When it comes to population count. But when it comes to population count of your vehicles, you guys have way more choices. I'm not even kidding. I'm pretty sure you guys have more choices in new cars than we have here in the US. And that really kind of blows my mind as a car guy. I don't even think I've ever heard of this in the US. You guys even have Skoda. I forgot about that. You guys even have Skoda in Australia. Look at the Skoda Kodiaq right in the flesh. Right there. If you've seen some of my European videos, you know that I love. I've come to learn about them and really love Skodas. And again, we do not get them at all. I like the styling, and I think they're kind of cool. And yeah, I can't believe you guys get Skodas and we don't. The US really messes out on a lot. You guys get Mahindra as well. We do. Here it's weird. For some reason, they actually sell a couple smaller like Mahindra SUVs that kind of remind me of like a Jeep Wrangler, that kind of style, right? Like a really robust, simplified kind of, you know, off-road vehicle. And they do sell Mahindras at a couple, and I mean a couple, like really rare Mahindra dealers or some sort of third-party dealer that sells them here in the US. And they're not technically like federally street legal. It's really weird. It's like a different class of vehicle. They're not like a normal car that you can buy, like going to buy a Chevy or going to buy a Honda or whatever, right? I don't know what the deal with them is. Really weird. I see that you guys have actual Mahindras, like this is a Mahindra Scorpio. This is definitely not the one, you know, that I'm thinking of, but this looks like an obvious real car that's street legal and everything, right? Yeah, we don't have those, but we have some Mahindra SUVs, smaller ones you can buy. And they're cool. They're like diesels. They're manual transmissions. They're freaking awesome. That's what so many American car guys want. But we don't have vehicles like that, right? We get all this huge, you know, if it's not a huge truck, you know, with an automatic and whatever twin turbo V6 they want you to buy, you know, you don't have a choice, right? I want like a simple work truck, like some of those Mahindras you can buy here, but they're not street legal. Now, some states allow you to register them, so it is state to state. But yeah, I find that kind of odd, but it's cool that you guys actually have real Mahindras there. This one I have to learn more about. People have been telling me to look at this Ineos SUV. I think it looks awesome. I don't know if it's sold here in the US or not. I hope it is. I'm not sure. I haven't checked, but I think that's awesome. And clearly you guys do have it down under. And, you know, this just keeps going. Ram 3500, Subaru Outback. There we go. That's a famous one. I love those. Always loved those. Subarus are probably pretty famous and popular to some extent in Australia, I would imagine. Look at this JAC T9. Interesting looking. Wow, the letters are absolutely massive for the logo, right? Ford Puma. What the heck? Another one I've never heard of. Skoda Octavia. Wow. All right, now I've looked through a lot of these pages, okay? And let me tell you, this is an interesting one because we have the Subaru WRX. Now, we have this in the US as well, right? It's a very popular vehicle, very fun. You guys have the wagon. I think that's hella cool. We only get the WRX in a sedan. That's it, right? This one, like this picture, okay? We do not get a wagon whatsoever. So it's so super cool seeing this and then seeing this. I would drive one of these 100%. I can't even buy one now. They just don't have them here. I think that is super, super cool. And I just had to throw that in there because I can't believe that, right? Like they just do not have that here whatsoever. Again, you know, like the US car market is just bizarre. It truly is. You guys have a lot of Mercedes-Benz. We have a lot as well, but you guys have even some models that I've never heard of. Again, I think it's crazy. You guys have Citroens, which is awesome. You know, the C5X, the C5 Aircross. Again, I know nothing about these because we don't have that brand. I think it's wild. And then, you know, right here, right? Let's get real. I keep messing around, but this is what I would want. These things are awesome. Everything about these is quality and heavy duty. These are legendary status, and we do not get these, we miss out terribly. But when we're talking about the Toyota Land Cruiser, of course, oddly enough, it's showing like different models than what I clicked on. I was trying to click on this. Yeah, it's not showing me the Ute version with the cab chassis, but that's okay. You know what I mean, right? That's I've had whole videos drooling over that thing. All right, and then finally, before we end it, we're going back to all cars, no filters. These are brand new cars, and we're going to see lowest price car in Australia. See if you agree with this. Is this correct? The MG M3. This is the cheapest car you can buy brand new in Australia. This thing is 20 grand, which, let's do that conversion. 20 grand Australian sounds pretty cheap. $20,000, $13,500 US. That is insane. I don't believe that we have a car that cheap here anymore. You know, years ago we did, but not anymore. I will look it up though. Let's just take a look real quick. There it is. The cheapest car would be the Core. Of course, that would be your cheapest option. That is a hilarious little car, but you know what? When it's that cheap and you want something new, why not, right? I'm very surprised it's an automatic. Wow, I would have almost bet money that this thing was a manual. That is actually crazy. Because even though the US hates manuals for some reason, being a manual, you know, loving car guy here is very hard because they're so rare. Ironically, you can still get the cheap. I know one of the cheapest cars, I believe, is called like the Nissan Versa, and you can get those in manuals. I think they come standard with manual transmissions, even in the US. Cheapest car in USA. Let's see. Cheapest new cars. And it is indeed the 2024 Nissan Versa. So this is for the US market, okay? This is the cheapest car available, and it is $16,300. So the MG coming in with that conversion at $13,000, that MG I feel like is obviously cheaper. So you guys do have a cheaper car you can get if you want the cheapest of the cheap. So kind of just a random interesting fact there. I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, this Nissan Versa I think used to be around 13 or 14 grand maybe 5 years ago. But of course everything has gone up. That's just how it is. And now it is $16,390. What would you take out of these cheap cars? Would you take the Nissan Versa or do you take the MG? I have to say I want to almost give credit to Nissan. I think this, or should I say Nissan, right? This Nissan Versa. It's too weird for me. I'm sorry. I'm going to go with Nissan. I'm going to stick with Nissan. This Nissan Versa I feel like looks a little better than the MG. There's nothing wrong with this. It just looks very cheap, and it is cheap, right? It's not trying to look like a G-Wagon. It's a cheap car. I feel like the Versa just might be slightly bigger and look a little more premium. And finally, we will see what the most expensive car is. Bentley Continental. So does that mean, then again, these sites could be wrong. These sites might not have like every car technically ever for sale because certain cars are just not normal and they wouldn't be on normal sites anyway. So take this with a big grain of salt, right? But we have the Bentley Continental as the most expensive car for sale, brand new in Australia. Now, obviously, if we take a look at something like I don't know, crazy hypercars like Paganis or Bugattis, right? I feel like they would be more expensive than this. And maybe they're not for sale in Australia. You guys will have to let me know. Or maybe they are and the site isn't just, well, not correct on that type of thing. But I hope you enjoyed that little kind of relaxing video, just taking a look at some cars. I would love to hear your opinions on some of these. Do you have any experience with these? You know, have you had some of these as work vehicles or your personal vehicle? Maybe a cousin or, you know, mom or someone has had one of these. I would love to hear about it. Or should I say mom, not mom. Maybe your mom or your friend's mom has one of these. I like doing these, and it's been a long time. And yeah, I will still hold true that Australia has some of the craziest and coolest car markets when it deals with old cars and new cars. All the different Utes and SUVs and interesting cars like even a Subaru WRX wagon. You guys have a lot of cool cars, and the U.S. market is, well, it's slacking. It's slacking big time. Anyways, I appreciate you watching. I hope your weekend was great. It's probably Monday or Tuesday by the time I post this, so I appreciate you. And yeah, that's about it. So my name is Ian. You're watching IWrocker. Until next time, y'all. We'll catch you later.